Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So first I'd like to, I'm Chris Collard, and I want to thank Jim Morrison and his team for allowing me to bring this out today. It's Concept Day. What I got behind me, it's 1978 Jeep. It's got a motor, it's got a transmission, it's got axles, it's got a steering wheel like all Jeeps. But it has, if you look at it, it's got a few dents and scars, and there's history behind that. So if you drive around California and want to go north-south, you're probably going to end up on this thing called the PanAmerican Highway. It might be called Highway 101 or Highway 5, Interstate 5. But if you follow it all the way to the north, you're going to end up in basically at the Arctic Ocean. Prudhoe Bay, Alaska is where it ends in the north. If you follow it south, it's going to end up in Tierra del Fuego, which is the furthest tip of South America. And it's it's like the longest continuous highway in the world, with the exception of one section. That section ends in Panama from the north, it ends in Colombia, Turbo Colombia from the south. And what's in between is pretty much no man's land. It's always been that way. It's tribal, run by paramilitary at times in history. It's run by the Spanish. Very, very few people have gone through it. Even fewer people have driven through it. So there's a man named Mark Smith. I think everybody's probably familiar with that name. And if you're not, he is kind of like one of the grandfathers of Jeeping. He started Jeepers Jamboree. And Mark had this dream of driving from basically tip to tip, from either Ushuaia to Tierra del Fuego to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, or vice versa. What it came down to was the seasons, and they needed to start in Alaska to get into this jungle, this section between Panama and Colombia. It's called the Dakar Gap, and you'll see it's across the hood, a little crunched on this one side. But Mark had this dream, and he worked he started Jeepers Jamboree. He'd been working with Jeep, and they got behind the project. They provided him with 5 vehicles, identical vehicles to this one. This is one of the 5. Number 4, you see it on the side of the below the A-pillar. And he got a local group of guys. It wasn't a big corporate dog and pony show. It was all people from local Georgetown, California, home of the Jeepers Jamboree. They started in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. Excuse me, they started in Ushuaia, shipped the vehicles down to Chile, drove down to the tip of Tierra del Fuego, and started heading north. And the project was about 21,000 miles, 6 months, and it would include this section between Panama and Colombia called the Dakar Gap. Probably one of the most revered off-road locales that is out there, that remains. It had only been crossed basically 3 times. One was the Corvair stunt in 1961. They had bulldozers. You've probably seen the video on YouTube. It was a joke. Who knows if they made it? They presented it like they made it. I know that 2 of the vehicles did not, because I sat in one of them. It's in the middle of the jungle down there. The other one, local village chiefs told me they know where it is, and it's out in the jungle. So hard to say. The next expedition was, one was in a Jeep and one was in a Land Rover. The third one was the British Army. 3 armies, 200 people. Crazy amount of resources. But when Mark did it, he wanted to do it completely unsupported. So it was just him and his crew of 13 guys. And they started in Turbo and spent 30 days getting across the Dakar Gap. There's a section of it in Mark's journal, his book called Driven by a Dream. There is an excellent book by Kevin Arnold, son of Mike Arnold, an original expedition member, and it has a fantastic excerpt, basically is his journal from the entire trip and the 31 days in the Dakar Gap. I was fortunate enough, in 1998, I was Mark Smith's UPS guy in another life, and found out that they were going to be shipping 3 of these vehicles to South America for a 20th anniversary reunion trip. So we shipped 3 of these down to Chile, spent 6 weeks driving around South America. It's quite the honor, and I've kept in touch with a lot of the guys from that trip. In January, Scott Brown and Fred Williams sent me a Craigslist post that showed this Jeep on a Craigslist post for sale. And you can probably guess my reaction because I've been kind of close in that circle, and I about was like, holy moly. I was able to get a hold of Shane Grimm, inherited it from his dad, Al. And I was down there the next day to put it on a trailer and bring it home. So we're in Jeep's 80th anniversary. So about their 40th anniversary, this is what they were doing in the most remote places in the world, and just proving that the 7-slot legacy was just pushing on into the future. So super excited to have it. It's going to be a long-term restoration project. And don't worry, I'm not going to touch anything, any of the patina on the hood, the dent on the hood, any of this, all that's going to stay the same. We're just going to give it a lot of overdue love. Yeah, thank you.